Aloha! You've tuned in to the Hawaii Healing Network, and I am your host, Kristina Mekdeci. Hi there, it's Kristina with Create It Now Healing, and this is the Hawaii Healing Network. Today I'm in Santa Cruz interviewing a wonderful friend and healer, Esther Francis. She does astrology, and I had the wonderful opportunity to have a reading, an astrological reading done by her, and she's going to talk a little bit about that, and she's also going to talk about what other healing she does and how she can offer some help to you in Santa Cruz and locally
and internationally.
Internationally.
We have Skype.
That's right. And remote healing does work. So Esther, tell us a little bit about the work you do.
Well, I call the work that I do Soul Sanctuary.
Very nice.
Because I think soul is a really deep, important word. And we are multifaceted. We're spirit, we're personality, and we are the intersection of the spirit. And spirit I see of as being all pervasive, and our personality is what makes us unique. We're not all clones of each other.
Right.
Thus, astrology is really pertinent because it also helps to underscore where our uniqueness is. And there's a lot of talk about unity, oneness, and it's really important. A lot of people go, and the unity does not mean sameness. Oneness doesn't mean sameness. It's not like a homogenized soup where you throw everything in the blender and it all is the same.
Thank goodness.
The same is the essence.
Okay.
That's the spirit, you could say.
I know when you were doing my reading, it looked so complicated to me, and yet you just knew everything. It's just like a whole other language.
It is a language.
Okay, talk about how you learned it and what you look for when you do someone's reading.
Well, I learned it when I was very young.
Okay.
I was 17 years old.
Wow.
I went to a friend's school in Atlantic City, Quaker school, and it just so happened they had one of the finest bookstores that I ever came upon down the street.
Okay.
And I came upon a book that was this thick, and it was by Dane Rudier, who's considered to be kind of the father of humanistic astrology.
Okay.
It was so profound. It just, wow, that got me. It was like the hook and I'm the fish, and that was it.
Okay.
Okay. So I've been studying it ever since then.
Yeah.
I came out of the closet in 1990.
We had to be in the closet for astrology, but yes.
And the reason I did that is because there was so much, I didn't want, it's not the only thing I do.
That's right.
And I didn't want that to taint my reputation to not be taken seriously in other intellectual, endeavors.
Well, before we go on, what are the other...
said, so what?
Oh, you did? Okay.
I did. Uranus is the planet that is most equated with astrology in modern times.
Okay.
And it is what breaks out of
And
the
that's
old,
in your sign.
the antiquated. That's it. Everybody has that archetype of Uranus. And it's the part of us that won't be confined by tradition.
Nice.
That won't be confined by what somebody else is. And it also pertains to the internet. And because it gives that ability to break out of all the other smaller limitations, confinings, and it has to do with that level of technology and understanding and rapidity of being able to we're flowing in the wind.
It's very windy here in
We're
Santa Cruz.
We're flowing in the wind.
But everything flows here.
And here comes the crows.
Oh, that's
and
nice.
Another little bird. We're being joined. The flock is assembling.
So you mentioned you didn't want the astrology to taint the other things that you were doing. List some of the other healing modalities that you work in right now.
Well, these I didn't come out with then either,
Okay.
even though I had already been trained in a lot of them.
And they are?
They are hypnosis, trance work. It's a form of, we all have shamanistic roots.
Okay.
So shamanic work, which is a lot about soul retrieval, which is a lot about really bringing back the parts of us that have been isolated, unintegrated. It's the shadow. It's also where we've been traumatized. It's reeling in, bringing all of us on board so that the whole that we are can be accessed.
Nice.
Yeah.
And so now the astrology charts themselves, I mean, I was so amazed. You have to know that everything that she talked about in my personal reading, it all made so much sense. But looking at this, kind of to me looked like an algebraic problem splattered on a piece of paper. Kind of talk about what is going on in this chart, because it seems so complicated.
Yeah, well, it's kind of like if I look at one of your paintings, because Kristina is an amazing artist.
Thank you.
It's like I can see the end result, but the shadings and the composition and dimension, how you figure all that out is like a great mystery to me. So really there is a template here,
Okay.
and what it is, for me, I look at it that the circle represents the whole, or the element of space.
Okay.
It's divided by the hemisphere, so in half from bottom to top,
Okay.
right? So this represents on the left side what we call the ascendant, that's daybreak. And on the other side, it's the descent of the sun, so it's the twilight moving into the night. So the night's the bottom half of the chart,
Okay.
the day is the top. So right there, we see just visually, if there's a lot of planets on the bottom, it's a clue that the person is very introspective. A lot
Okay.
on the top, the person's very extroverted, just right there. And then we have the left and the right side. So again, it represents that the left is more kind of where you're sowing the seeds,
Okay.
and the right is where you're reaping the result of the sowed seeds from. And the four quadrants correspond with the other four elements: fire, air, water, and earth. And then you have the signs, there's 12 of them.
Right.
And the 12 signs, it's like habitats, in ecology. They're different areas of life experience.
Nice.
So it's the field, the area of life that we're talking about. And then the planets that are in there, the planets are the archetype. They're the archetypal energy, the pure energy. So let's say it's Mars.
Yes.
Mars, the glyph, it's a circle, and then it's like a phallic outward arrow.
Okay.
So it's a very young energy. And it has a lot to do with our desire. It has a lot to do with our motivation. It's a lot to do with our activity and how we move out and toward. So that's going to be, everybody has that someplace in their chart. So but when we find out what field it's in, right there we know, oh, that's an area that this person's going to be more active in. Then, though, the crucial thing, what sign it's in, and the sign corresponds to the seasons.
Okay.
So let's say Aries is the first springtime sign when you have that kind of seasonal change.
Right.
Not when you're lucky like in Hawaii or parts of California.
True.
But it's that time when the crocuses come through, even through the snow.
Yeah.
Right? It's amazing. So that strength, that
Gotcha.
resurrection energy.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Easter energy of resurrection that is associated with different Passover. Different religions have celebrations, but underlying all that is the archetypal spring or uprising, up from underneath the soil, rising up into, here I am again, I'm being reborn, it's springtime.
I have a couple questions then. When you look at the charts, do the charts kind of go over the past and future of the person, like as a whole, or is it just the person's personality?
It's really a coding and a map.
Okay.
And one of the things I say, it's not essential that anybody has a belief in past lives or parallel lives.
Okay.
You can look at it just for this lifetime. And in that case, you would say, okay, the moon in the south node has to do with early life experiences that could have shaped, the points of view, the unconscious belief systems.
Right.
If, though, you have the sense that it's possible that there's parallel or past lives, however you want to perceive that, then the south node and the moon, particularly, and as well as Saturn and Pluto, could also, and everything but these in particular, could point to what kinds of experiences, where we're coming from these other dimensions.
Yeah, I noticed in my chart, it made so much sense to me. It just really explained everything. And when you mentioned that I was apparently all over the charts, which some people would say maybe I am a little bit all over everything, but it actually made sense to me. And there was so much content. There was so much. Please, when you come to see Esther, record the session so you can listen to it over again. It will resonate. Yeah, you have to record, right?
Yeah, too much. Otherwise, it's like a truffle. You have to be able to, little at a time.
Right.
Yeah.
I was just like, wow, this all makes sense. This all makes sense. There's no way I could remember it, but it really spoke to me. And I've never really had my charts read before. I've just, gone on to the monthly astrological reading. But now I can see how seriously correct this is. And you had to know my time of birth, my location of birth, and it was very specific to that.
Yeah.
And
time, place, and that gives the precision.
Precision, what do you mean by that? When you say
well, the more we know, the more accurate we're going to have the natal chart be.
Okay.
However, there's many people who don't know their exact time of birth.
Okay.
Hasn't been recorded.
Gotcha.
So in that case, we have alternate methods that we can use. That because the planets will all be the same, the ascendant will be different, and maybe the degree of the moon if you are within the day, but you can still get great value out of it. You're just not going to get as much precision.
So it's important for us who have birth certificates to get that information.
Yes.
Now, you mentioned so much about the religious aspect, and you kind of crossed over with Easter. What is your opinion, especially coming from the world of astrology? How do you feel this fits in as let's say, a religion? Does this go back in time before all religions? I mean, where do you see...
even in spirit, let's say Christianity, there was an edict that took reincarnation out of modern Christianity. So when you go back far enough, I think there's the ancients realized that they were one with the universe. There wasn't a false sense of separation. Astrology speaks to the spirituality that is the basis of and underlies even the different religious kinds of traditions spring out of that.
Well, how far back does this go? When you think of where did we learn about? I have no idea. Like the 12 signs. I mean, where does this originate from?
That's a great question, and it's one that I can't really answer, except that I think that it's back from those that were really awake and aware, and were just aware enough to see the correlations.
There was a correlation.
Because there's a mathematical, as a lot of the physicists and current mathematicians are learning, there is a numerical correlation with everything. The cosmos, everything is vibration.
Right.
And different numbers have different vibrations. There's the pi ratio. There's all these things we're discovering about what shapes what we consider to be reality.
And it made me it looks like it could be with certain people cross over the sacred geometry of a person. Like maybe the charts, because it does have a geometric quality.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. And it's the idea that you don't just arbitrarily come in, that there is a alignment between the time you emerge into this realm through your birth.
Wow.
So that, it's like the shoe fits, so that the astrological code is in alignment with what you're here for, what your karma is. Karma meaning action, not so much that it's, a lot of times karma is thought of just in the negative, like, oh my God, I have a karma to carry or break through. And there is that aspect of it, but it's also action. What am I here to be acting out in for, those kinds of things. Now,
when people come to see you, what kind of results can they expect? What are some of the things that they leave when they get the session done?
Well, feedback that I get, probably the most common feedback is the sense of, I've been seen, I'm recognized. Which is very empowering, because I've had many people who have said to me, my God, you have spoken to parts of me that no one else knows and that I recognize.
Wow. That's awesome.
And in indigenous culture, there were elders who would have that role, who from the time the baby comes in, have a sense of why that child is there. We don't have that in our fragmented modern society. So we're, have a lot on us to figure all this out. So when somebody gets the reflection or the affirmation that says, oh my God, this that I've always felt about myself. Let's say you're an artist, a diamond in the rough, or you're a musician, or you're called to social action, or whatever it may be. And to have that recognized and have somebody who often is a stranger to you and doesn't know any of your history, have never had a conversation with you, say, whoa, it looks like you have this skill, looks like this is your challenge.
Yeah.
And you know, if you're in often, which way do I go? There's this and there's this. The North and South Node are like a modern radar like we have in our cars, you know, for the mapping.
Okay.
It shows us which the North Node indicates what we're to move into for our greatest evolution and growth.
Nice.
The South Node, where we have, once we move from it, we have that treasure trove
Okay.
to support us. But if we stay in those confines, we're not activating what we're really meant to grow with.
Nice.
So we need it both. But so this can, if let's say there's an opportunity, here's my choices. I have this opportunity and this opportunity for business. This can help say, this is the one that's taking you forward. This is where your safety zone, where you could probably succeed, but it may not fulfill your soul. It may not be challenging, for instance.
So if somebody wanted to get in contact with you, do you do house calls? Do people come? I know I came to her house, which is beautiful. But how can they get in touch with you to get a reading?
Well, they can call me at 831-234-9795. 831-234-9795.
And I'll add that as a link to the bottom of the video.
And I have a web page which is Esther, ESTHERFRANCES,
which is EstherFrancis.com.
.com.
It's her first
And
and last
Esther at EstherFrancis.com is my email.
Perfect.
And
Well,
we can Skype, you can come in person, we can just do telephones. We don't need to have visuals. And,
it is nice, though. If you have a chance to see her one-on-one, this is wonderful. You get a wonderful cup of tea.
Yes.
Cheers. Thank you so much for watching, and see us again next time on the Hawaii Healing Network.
Bye. Aloha.
Aloha.